I'm 88 years old now, and there are mornings when I wake up and have to lie still for a moment just to remember where I am. The house is quiet in a way that feels permanent. My wife has been gone 12 years. Most of my friends are buried. My children live in other states and call on Sundays. The clock in the hallway ticks louder than it used to, or maybe I just hear it more. At this age, you don't think about the future much. You think about what's already happened, what you held, what you let go, what you assumed would circle back. And I'll tell you something that has stayed with me through all of it, through marriage, through children, through a career that filled up my days and my ego and my calendar. I never forgot my first love. Her name was Margaret. I haven't said her name out loud in years. It feels strange on my tongue now, like I'm opening a drawer I kept shut for too long. I was 19 when I met her, 19 and certain that life was something you charged into. I had thick hair, strong hands, and the kind of confidence that only comes from not knowing how much can be lost. She worked at a little diner off Main Street, not the kind of place anyone remembers except the people who fell in love there. She wore her hair pulled back, but little strands would slip loose by the end of her shift. I used to sit at the counter long after I'd finished my coffee, just to watch her move between tables. I told myself I was building something. A future, a name, a solid life. That's what men did back then. You worked, you climbed, you provided, and Margaret, she believed in me. That's what makes it harder to say what I'm about to say. We were together 4 years, from 19 to 23. Those years felt endless at the time. We'd lie on the hood of my old Ford out by the lake and talk about where we'd be at 30. 30 seemed ancient. We were sure we'd have everything figured out by then. She wanted a small house, 2 kids, a garden. She liked the idea of staying close to home, close to her mother, close to what was familiar. I wanted more, not more love, I already had that. I wanted more recognition, more money, a bigger city, a career that would make people shake my hand with respect. I told myself I could have both. That's the lie you tell yourself when you're young, that nothing will slip through your fingers while you're reaching for something else. When I got an offer to move 3 states away for a management position, I didn't hesitate. I remember how proud I felt walking into the diner to tell her. Like I was handing her good news, like she'd see it the way I did. She listened quietly. That was Margaret's way. She didn't interrupt. And then she asked, "Do you want me to come?" It should have been simple. I loved her. We talked about marriage. I could still see her in a white dress if I closed my eyes. But I also saw myself in that new office, new suit, new city, no ties, no obligations, just forward motion. I told her maybe it would be better if I went ahead first. Got settled, made sure it was right. Even as I said it, I knew what I was doing. I was loosening my grip. She nodded. She smiled in that small, brave way people do when they're trying not to cry. We promised to write. We promised to visit. We promised a lot of things. I left 2 weeks later. At first, the letters came regularly. Hers were full of small details. The garden was blooming. Her mother's arthritis was worse. The diner got a new jukebox. She said she missed the way I laughed with my whole body. Mine was shorter, busier. I told her about the office, the long hours, the people I was meeting. I always ended with, "I'll come soon." Soon is a dangerous word. Months passed, then a year. The visits became excuses, the phone calls became strained. We were still kind to each other, but something had shifted. I was building a life she wasn't part of. One night, after a company dinner, I met a woman named Elaine. She was sharp, polished, ambitious. She understood the world I was stepping into. She didn't ask me to slow down. I told myself I was just being practical, that Margaret and I were drifting anyway. that long distance rarely worked, that this was adulthood. That's how regret begins, not with betrayal, but with justification. I wrote Margaret a letter I must have rewritten 10 times. I told her I thought it would be better to let each other go, that she deserved someone who was there, that I didn't want to hold her back. I signed it with love, because I didn't know how to sign it any other way. She didn't reply. A mutual friend told me later she married a local mechanic 2 years after that, had 3 children, stayed in the same town. I married Elaine. We had a good life. Truly, 2 sons, a nice house, vacations when the business did well. I rose in the company, just like I'd planned. People respected me. I wore the suits, shook the hands, and I was faithful. I showed up. I paid the bills. I coached Little League when I could, but there were nights, not many at first, when I'd lie awake and think about that lake, about the hood of that old Ford, about a girl who would have followed me anywhere if I'd simply said yes. The years moved the way they do, quietly, relentlessly. My sons grew up. Elaine and I settled into routines, comfortable ones. She was a good woman, stronger than I deserved, probably. Margaret became something I carried privately, not a fantasy, not a longing to undo my life, just a memory that never faded. Then, when I was 63, I went back to my hometown for a high school reunion. I almost didn't go. I told myself it didn't matter anymore. But I went. The town was smaller than I remembered, or maybe I was larger. And there she was, Margaret. Her hair was grey, her face lined in ways that mirrored my own. But her eyes, I knew them instantly. We stood there for a moment that felt suspended, 2 old people staring at the ghosts of who we had been. She smiled first. We talked politely at first. Children, grandchildren, jobs retired from. Her husband had passed the year before, heart attack, sudden. I told her about Elaine, about the boys, about my career. And then there was a pause. She said, "I used to wonder what would have happened if I'd gone with you." Not accusing, not bitter, just curious. I swallowed. I used to wonder what would have happened if I'd asked you to. We didn't say more than that. We didn't need to. The life we didn't choose hung between us, visible and untouchable. I drove back to my hotel that night with a heaviness I couldn't explain to anyone, not even to myself. Elaine died 5 years later after a long illness. I cared for her until the end, Saturday beside her hospital bed, held her hand as she slipped away. I loved her, I did. Love isn't a single thread in a life, it can be different shapes. After the funeral, the house felt cavernous. That's when the past gets louder. I thought about calling Margaret, just to talk, just to hear her voice, without the noise of a reunion around us. But I didn't. I told myself it might stir up old things, that it might complicate what little peace we'd both earned. And then, 3 years ago, I read her obituary in the local paper online. 85. Surrounded by family. Loved deeply. I stared at that screen for a long time. There it was. The final closing of a door I had left slightly open in my mind for nearly 70 years. What can't be fixed isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's simply the absence of another chance. I don't regret my sons. I don't even regret caring for Elaine. I don't even regret ambition. It fed us. It built something tangible. But I do regret assuming there would always be more time to circle back, more time to visit, more time to choose differently if I ever felt like it. Life doesn't circle back, it moves forward, and whatever you don't hold on to firmly enough just becomes memory. At 88, memory is both a companion and a weight. I can close my eyes and see Margaret clearer than I can see my own reflection without my glasses. I remember the way she wiped down the diner counter in slow circles, the way she'd tuck her cold hands into my jacket pockets in winter, the way she believed in a simple life without ever apologizing for it. I thought I was choosing the bigger life. Maybe I was just choosing noise over quiet. If you're listening to me now, and you're young enough to think you have endless tomorrows, I won't tell you what to do. I've earned the right to know that advice rarely lands where it's aimed. I'll just say this: be careful what you postpone. Be careful who you assume will still be standing there after you've chased whatever feels urgent. Success is warm for a while. Applause fades. Titles get replaced by younger names. But the people who sit beside you when the clock gets loud, they are the ones you'll see when you close your eyes at 88. I've had a full life, a respectable one. I've been loved, I've given love, and still there's a small corner of my heart that belongs to a 19-year-old girl in a diner on Main Street. Not because my life was empty without her, but because I let go of something pure while I was busy reaching for something impressive. Now I sit in this quiet house, the afternoon light stretching across the floor, and I understand something I didn't at 23. Some choices don't explode. They echo. If this meant something to you, then maybe that's enough. I'm 88 years old, and I never forgot my first love.